All right, now to our first conversation. Nigeria's produced some of Africa's most successful entrepreneurs are building businesses worth billions of naira and creating thousands of jobs. But there's a critical question many business owners are avoiding. What happens when they're no longer at the helm? Well, new research from Meristem Family Office suggests that while most Nigerian entrepreneurs believe their businesses will outlive them, very few have a structured succession plan. This morning, we'll explore why wealth preservation is becoming one of the biggest business challenges of our time and what it will take to ensure today's success becomes tomorrow's legacy. Joining me now is Kemi Ojenike, the Managing Director, Meristem Family Office. He joins me right here in the studio. It's great to have you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, so I guess it looks like it's easier creating wealth. But it gets tougher, preserving it. And, I did go through this report, found some really interesting, stats there. But why was it important for you to, come out with this report first?
I think it's not necessarily easier to create wealth, but it does require a different skill set.
Look at me saying wealth is easy. Just look at that.
It does.
Right.
And this report was important for us because at the family office, we have a deep interest and a deep concern for families who spend their lives building and ensuring that labor is not lost. It's similar to embarking on a long journey where you have a destination in mind.
You know what? This one, I know a lot of people are very interested in this conversation, but we have to go on a very quick break now. When we come back, let's sort out some background issues there. That's in a moment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. We're still talking wealth creation and wealth preservation here. I still have with me Kemi Ojenike. She's the Managing Director of Meristem Family Office. Sorry to have caught you there. We're talking about this report.
Yes.
What prompted it, at this time. I did say creating wealth was easy. It's not that easy. But preserving it is a tougher, pill.
Absolutely. And in the course of our work, advising families who are seeking to preserve what they have built, we have seen a pattern that the journey of creating is quite distinct from the journey of preserving. It requires a certain level of intentionality. And the information that was available to families if you think about it, we all kind of know that there are many businesses that used to exist at some point and are no longer here. But there is no structured way to address the problem. There is no structured information that sort of guides you to understand why is this so and how do I ensure that my family business does not fall into the same trap, so to speak. And so it was important for us to put together this body of work that we believe will start off a conversation around why wealth preservation is actually an imperative, not just for families but also for the nation.
Yeah, it's quite interesting you mentioned, some businesses that, somehow just, fall off. I remember there was a bread brand I used to love, as a kid. But I heard the founder, she passed on, and that was it.
That was it.
For that business. It hurt so bad. I really liked that bread. The research found that 94.5% of Nigerian family businesses are still in their first or second generation. I've seen some second generation businesses, and we're excited about it, seeing a second generation.
Yes.
But it seems it's stopping there.
Absolutely. What is clear is that the real continuity test is ahead. And so for many Nigerian businesses, those that, like you said, those that have made it to the second generation, it's laudable. But what happens next? What happens next? Are these businesses prepared for what happens next? Is there a structure around planning for continuity? One of the things that we like to emphasize is that the same strategic input and focus that businesses give to building the business and being profitable, that same imperative, that same focus is needed to ensure the preservation of what they have built. Because what ends up happening is that businesses that happen to move beyond the founder, this individual who has spent their lives building networks, taking risk, those that are able to move it to the next generation, there is usually a watering down of the impact, so to speak. And by that second generation, if there is no dedicated plan in place, chances are that what happens next is not clear. So our goal is to help families begin to think of how they can address this from a systematic perspective. How do we ensure that the imperative for preservation, we understand where we are and where we are going and how we need to get there?
Right. So, second generation, we've been able to clock that, but going beyond, second generation, but it almost seems like it should get easier. If you're able to at least get, to the second generation, they're able to take over that business. Shouldn't it be easier to have a third generation?
So, it should, because there should be certain learnings, that have helped to get to that point. But what's the system around it? The truth of the matter is that the preservation of wealth is at the core of it a structuring conversation, and it's not simply setting up a company, setting up an investment. It is first of all understanding what got that business to where it is in the first place. So think about it. A founder or a group of founders come together. They have gone through the reins, right? They have built, they have suffered, they have succeeded. Many a times the journey of those founders, what made them successful, the mistakes they made along the way are usually not captured in any form. And if you think about other jurisdictions where we have 100-year-old businesses where the founder is nowhere in sight, they have hacked the process of capturing and codifying the essence of the business and setting up a structure that those coming ahead can run with, even without ever meeting the founder. So our businesses today, are they capturing what they have built? Are they taking advantage of time? Many people begin to think of legacy and what happens to their business when they are advanced in years, when they are thinking of retiring, and they have these aspirations that their children will take over. But are the children prepared? Are the children even interested in taking over? Has there been a system of preparation? Are there other managers that are non-family members that can play a critical role? Is there a system around it? Our family businesses are too important to leave succession to chance, and that is what we are trying to push. That is the mindset that we're trying to help families realize that no matter where you are, now is the time to begin to plan for what happens after you. Right. Now is the time.
Right, because I just imagine maybe I have this big family business, and in my mind the first son is going to take over, exactly. or the first daughter, and we have that agreement.
Meanwhile, more often than not, that first child has their own plans. They have their own dreams. You probably send them abroad. They've seen the world from a broader perspective. Even if the children are interested in taking over, they have their own views. So usually what happens is that they come back, they have their thoughts on how things should move forward, and many times, because there is no system, there is a clash. So sometimes you have communication issues. Sometimes you have a misalignment of expectation on both parties. So this entire process is such an important one, and it is one that we are determined to help families see that it can work. The prevalent narrative is that family businesses do not outlive their founders. A founder, a matriarch or patriarch dies and the family devolves into conflict, and it is so prevalent that we have movies about it. Right. It's made for entertainment. But what about the other side? We don't usually think of the real consequence of businesses not outliving their founders. We don't think of the jobs that are lost, the education that is terminated, livelihoods that are halted. We don't think about the complexities that happen in those families. What we are saying is that the imperative for wealth preservation and transfer is now. But first of all, we must determine if we even want the businesses to outlive us. Because some businesses, they just want to make money, meet their needs, and maybe exit. That intention setting is clear before you determine what next you want to do. Don't assume that it's going to outlive me without clear preparation and definition of where you actually want to go.
Right, because looking at the data from your report, it says next generation readiness. The category they mostly focus on their own path. That's for the next generation. Yes. 40% are mostly focused on their own path.
Absolutely.
Actively involved and being prepared, about 20%.
Exactly.
Interested but not yet involved in the business, 20%. Too early to tell. That's about 20%. But we see the big 40% there. They're mostly focused on their own path.
Absolutely.
I want to do my own thing. I don't want to chase my father's business or my mother's business. I want to create my own path. There's nothing wrong with that mindset.
There isn't.
Right.
But what that tells us is that preparation needs to be much earlier. More often than not, many wait for their children to be adults, done with school, done with getting all the qualifications, and then you have the expectation that they will come in to take over. Meanwhile, they do not really have a connection to the business. All they know is, okay, this business funded my education, but what is it really about? Do I have a place in this? The most astute families start from when children are much younger. You expose them to the business, the philosophy, the why. What do we do and why do you do it? So that as the children grow, they begin to see their place in that organization, and then there is a natural fit, such that even if they go and pursue their own path, they can on their own come back to add meaningfully and contribute to the business in a way that is not forced, where there is no friction or needless conflict within the family.
Okay, I'm also trying to imagine, some interesting scenarios you've seen. Have you seen a case where the business is preserved, it keeps on going, but wealth is not preserved? Have you seen that before?
Well, yes, actually, and I'll try to paint a picture for you. So that some of the things that the mindset shift that we're trying to establish in more families is that, first of all, your children's involvement does not necessarily mean that they are the CEO of the business. So many people want their children to take over at the helm of affairs, but the children may not even be the most skilled to do that. They may not have the right qualification. But there are businesses in Nigeria, those who have decided from the get-go that, you know what, I want this business to outlive me, and my children do not have to be. This is not a family business. This is just an enterprise that I am creating, that I want to continue to create value for society, for my employees, and so on. And in their lifetime, they've handed over that business to other leadership outside of the family, and in that case they have children that are involved in the business but not as leaders. So in that case, the business continues to run. The wealth of the family is a separate conversation, but the business does continue. And one of the things we're trying to help families see is that ownership and management are not the same thing. A family member can have shares in the business, but they need not be the ones managing the business. That separation is necessary, because it requires a different mindset. I can be an owner, contributing in ways that I can to ensure that the business continues to succeed, getting the benefits of the business, but I do not necessarily need to be the one making the decisions in the day-to-day. And so the business should be considered as an entity of its own. But what we have is that it's almost an appendage of a founder who has spent 40 years building it. So sometimes that separation is tough. It's quite complex, and there are different layers, but the goal is for us to begin to think about these things deliberately and act on them, because again, many leave it until later, I will think about it later, but later is too late more often than not.
I'm talking about later and too late, and I can imagine a founder watching this now, maybe he's 80 and he's not really thought about succession. Is it too late?
It's not. Usually we say that as much as you can, you want to take advantage of time. Let time work for you. The earlier, the better. But even if you are at the stage where I've not done anything yet, where do I even begin? It's all so complex already. Just start. Seek advice. Seek professional advice. That's what we're here for. No two families are the same at the end of the day. No two businesses are the same. So what we typically do is we go in, understand what you are trying to achieve, understand the current scenario, and then advise you on what next to do. What would apply to your family may not apply to my family, but by all means, please take action. No matter how small, start. Do something, because a legacy plan is a gift to those that you love. You don't want to no longer be in the picture and your family members are thrown into confusion and chaos, and they're fighting over things that a simple structure could have fixed.
Right. And I'm trying to imagine also, you have kids who believe they can run the business, but they can't run it. How do you advise them?
That's a good one. Usually, you involve a third party, a neutral third party that can see things from the outside and guide accordingly. Because many times in that situation, there's a lot of emotion that is involved.
Right, the kids might feel hurt.
Exactly, right? And they might feel like, my parents don't believe in me and all of that. But if you are setting up a proper, robust structure and you have advisors that are guiding, you can help to map exactly where the input of that child will be most valuable, that helps them feel that they are still contributing without putting the business at risk. And so you can deal with both concerns. concerns. The child has enthusiasm, they are willing. You don't want to kill that. You want to maximize that. At the same time, you want to preserve that business. And it's all about structuring, and it's extremely doable.
So, looking at the report so far, what do you think is that key message a business owner should take from this?
Wealth creation in Nigeria is extremely doable. We have evidence to show that. We have the ability to create wealth. But what we need to start paying attention to is how to preserve what we have created. We want to begin to maximize compounding effect of our effort. We don't want to have to start again over and over. And so wherever you are, just start. And one way you can start now is to ask yourself, if I'm away from this business for 90 days, completely cut off from the business, no contact whatsoever, will this business survive? Will they be able to move without me? If the answer is no, then that might be a good starting point. And if you are confused as to where to start, reach out to us at the Meristem Family Office. We'll be more than happy to advise.
How do we reach the Meristem Family Office?
We can be reached via email, familyoffice@meristemng.com. So that's familyoffice@meristemng.com. Once we understand your unique circumstances, we would be more than happy to hold your hand through the journey of wealth preservation.
Wealth preservation. Quite interesting. It's quite interesting. You see families for 100 years, businesses, they keep going, keep turning on revenue and profit and all of that.
It needs to become a reality.
Yeah, because that helps the economy.
Absolutely.
Generally. Thank you so much.
Kemi
Ojenika is Managing Director of the Meristem Family Office. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. All right, we'll take a moment now. When we come back, we'll look at the latest earnings and what you should check in those numbers. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.